For those of you who have been following, we covered a local art exhibit titled Our Warming Planet, Visions of a Sustainable Future, that was a collaboration between local community art organizations, Creative Malden and the coffee shop artists, and the city of Malden. The art exhibition was inspired by Malden's climate action plan and featured over 20 local artists. It ran between March 5th to March 28th, and well, we got a front row seat and watched the whole show unfold, with stories told by the artists themselves, both before the opening day and during the opening day. Now, before we dig in and share those stories, let's first talk a little bit about the connection between science and art. You see, traditional boundaries typically separate the arts and sciences. Bennett and Dudo write in their 2024 report, looking at the landscape of art-science collaboration programs, art and science have much in common and a great deal to teach one another. In that report, one of the insights was that art and science collaborations facilitate a culture of civic science, which is concerned with how scientists and public stakeholders can have healthy conversations despite differing values. In their landscapes, one of the programs they mapped was the SciArt initiative, which through its art exhibits and public events in New York City, Boston, and beyond, aims to stimulate and cultivate the growth of connections and collaborations across disciplines on a local scale. Bennett and Dudo discovered 130 of such initiatives, which they aptly reference as having no one-size-fits-all. They add, "This is a good thing." And I agree. In this context, exhibits like Our Warming Planet are part of this landscape and provide opportunities for sparking new conversations with other community members to reflect on how we live, what we value, and how we might imagine new futures together. Okay, back to the stories. Now, a quick note about Malden. It is about 5 miles northwest of Boston, with a diverse population of approximately 60,000 residents. It is bordered by several towns, including Medford on the west, Melrose on the north, and Stoneham on the northwest. So our journey talking to artists began a few months before the opening reception on March 7th, and we asked the artists who planned to respond to the call for art, well, a few questions. Okay, I lie, a whole bunch of them. You see, the call for art was open to artist interpretation. Here's the one question we asked each of them that was really at the core of it all. What inspired you to participate in the exhibit? Listen to what they told us.
I work as an artist, but I also sort of work as at the intersection a little bit of like community building and art and policy change and those kinds of things. So I immediately was like, I already know the power of art to bring change and the power of my art to bring change. And it was so interesting to see this because I don't get a lot of opportunities to exhibit artwork as a catalyst for change as part of an art show. Like usually I'm like guerrilla-style installing that stuff in the middle of the night. So it really grabbed my attention. And I was thinking, well, I immediately have work that fits this theme. So I didn't have to I confess I didn't go on making something new. I knew that I already had things that fit the theme.
Two very different things. On the one hand, I was super excited because I think it's a really important topic for people to consider, think about, talk about, communicate around. And then in another way was a little frustrated of how to make this a meaningful reaction to the topic, because the topic is so very important. And I didn't want to just put something out there that's sort of like, the sky is falling, there's no hope, it's all over. It's like, what is something that would be actually conductive to getting people to take action or to think? So yeah, that was my honest first reaction, was excitement, but then also a little bit of frustration.
So my mother-in-law is the one who sent me the call. This is my very first show. I didn't start making art until 2020 to keep my sanity. And so this show is kind of a way to enter the art world I don't really know anything about it. And when I got that call, I really doubted whether I was even going to take it or like enter or not. And a good group of people, great family, lots of support network. So they all encouraged me to submit some work. And I had a friend that texted me every day until the work was submitted to make sure that I did do that, because she knew that maybe I feel like I have a little imposter syndrome, never having done this before. My background is in special education. So this is very, very, very different from anything I've done before.
So my mind was, well, I can get warm to this topic. Warming planet is something that's been on my mind for decades. And so I am not an artist. But the topic resonated with me. So I was like, I have to do something. So I'm always told by my artistic friends, you can do this, Karen, just try. So I did a collage. And the inspiration of this collage, or the basis, the foundation of this collage, was this photography by Chris Jordan. And he had an exhibit at the Museum of Science in Boston, probably 2007, something along those lines. And I bought his book. I mean, the photography was amazing. And what he does is he makes collages, and he creates these montages of all the plastic bottles that people throw away in one day. So visuals wake up people, and art actually also kind of entices that creativity in our brains.
I saw the notice. I was not paying particular attention until one of my colleagues mentioned it to me specifically. And she says, I know your artwork, and I think it would be a good fit for what this exhibit is all about. I do a lot of nature photography. I've started out specifically taking pictures of flowers, all kinds of flowers, close-ups, landscapes, that type of thing, which is what I enjoy doing specifically. So my colleague at Creative Malden suggested that maybe some of my artwork would be suitable for this particular exhibit. Secondly, the location is in Malden, which is very close to where I live. I'm a lifelong resident of Malden, and the particular location is very central to the city. They've had a lot of great artists work there. They've had poetry readings, they've had sketch artists, they've had other photography. And I figured, well, why not publicize myself a little bit more and also give my fellow artists, some support by participating in this exhibit?
Well, my first reaction was, hey, this was written for me. Personally, I have been an environmentalist forever, and worked in the field for a long time, did a lot of projects professionally having to do with climate change. And since I've transitioned more to full-time artwork, I have very much been taken up with the concept of climate change and how important it is and how people aren't paying any attention to it. Excuse me. An issue which only seems to be getting worse. And so I have always wanted to be more present in exhibits that dealt with climate change, and have in the past seen too few of them. So I was excited that a local arts group that I respect was dealing head on with this, and really wanted to participate and have a lot of things that I think are appropriate for an exhibit like this, because it is what I do, and I tend to be a very direct, sort of concrete thinker. So for me, difficult to create something that doesn't actually sort of head on hit people over the head with climate change is happening and you got to deal with it now. And it's very hard with more generic arts organizations to find a good fit with that kind of attitude. A lot of people don't want to be hit over the head with art, and it hurts if it's a mosaic. So, so I was really happy to find this.
Well, it sounded interesting, and I do have a science-based background in nature, and I love nature. I don't know, it had to do with art. It was local, and I was like, oh, there's even a local TV show or something. I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting.
Overall, though, how are you feeling? You're 10 days away from submission.
Yeah, it's very much is very much difficult to be satisfied, as because subject is the warming planet. So I was thinking warming planet. Then I've taken the canal, Panama Canal in the subject for the scenario, and the landscape was very good. So but my satisfaction level is not coming, so I'm very much confused at this stage. I will see next week, 1 week is there, so I will like to make it finished.
Over the years, sometimes we're like waiting for like the last week before the deadline, and we don't really have enough submissions. It didn't happen for this show. We have over 40 artists, many of whom have 2 works submitted. And so we have like over 70 pieces of artwork to display for this show. And usually we're lucky if we get 40. So we're excited that we have so much artwork, and it's really interesting, and it crosses because I've glanced through some of the pieces, not all of them, but they reach both sides of sort of the title, the theme of the show, which is climate, our warming planet, a sustainable future. And many of the works reach on that, our warming planet side, and then some reach on the sustainable future. What can we do? So it's kind of an interesting mix.
And just like that, opening day was here. I encourage you to scan the QR code to listen to the full set of conversations, because there's a ton more that they shared with me. So, opening day. It was absolutely freezing outside, but even so, people still showed up and it was packed on the inside. Even the mayor of Malden was in attendance. You'll hear from him in a little bit. And so it was energizing to see the show come alive and to see the spark of many new conversations taking place everywhere you look. I got a chance to talk with both artists and attendees to get their take on the exhibition and learn from them. Here are just a few of those insights.
Everybody's artwork that I've seen is so deeply thinking, so profound, but yet hopeful, because we have the fighties fight. So I'm very moved. I know many of the artists that are exhibiting here. I'm a word person. I'm T.D. Collins, poet laureate of Malden, and I'm just honored to be here.
John Priavel. Years ago, I think it might have been a celebration of Malden's 350th anniversary, we were asked by the then mayor, could we host an art event here? I said, well, if the mayor asked you to do something, why not? So we did it, and I liked it a lot. I think public art's great for the city, but the other thing is the tenants liked it a lot. The people in the building liked it a lot. And we said, wow, this is perfect. We like it, the artists like it, and our clients, our customers, our tenants like it. So we continued and tended to do more and more.
Well, I've always felt since being mayor that everything comes from within. And that's exactly how it's happened here when it comes to climate action. Honestly, it was not on our radar 10 years ago, but thanks to everyone here tonight and out in the community, now it is. Well, I hope we continue to now implement the goals of the Climate Action Plan, which if you wanted to learn more, you could go to cityofmalden.org/CAP.
I feel wonderfully exhausted because it's now up and people are excited about it. And I think hopefully people will spread the word and I can get some tours going. I have contact with the seniors, so hopefully we can get more people through.
I'm so excited and thrilled to see the turnout here, to see all the creative expression that's gone into this show. When we started the Climate Action Plan process in Malden, it was really to start a groundswell, and this kind of creativity emerging from that has been just really gratifying. I come from a family of artists, musicians, more than visual artists. So I appreciate what the creative and artistic process takes, the experimentation or the discipline. And I think that all of those are the kinds of skills that we are going to need to respond to for the next few generations to get through the climate crisis and reinvest in our planet. But it's amazing to see just the breadth of art here, to see the different artistic imaginations and visions and understandings. So much of that is from right here in Malden. Like, we have the things that we need here to make this kind of shift, and it's really on display very literally right here in this show.
And what do you hope for the Climate Action Plan? Like, what is the show and other expressions of it?
Yeah.
What do you hope the community starts doing with it?
Sure. Well, the plan itself is pretty concrete. I mean, it's got a lot of specific things that the city is going to do, everything from how we deal with building codes, or biking and access to walking and other low carbon ways to get around, to community resilience and how we be ready for worsening storms, how we avoid heat islands, how we help seniors who don't have access to cooling, all of these things, right? The tree canopy was another thing we just talked about. You know, we've been planting so many more trees. All of that is trickier in the city environment. There's literally less space to put trees, which is why we need them. So figuring all that out, again, just kind of takes some creativity. I think that when you talk about climate change, it can feel really big and really scary. Sometimes it can feel really intimidating because it's very technical. But events like this that are open to the community, that really bring people in, that provide a lot of different entry points, help people see what's possible. I think they give people a sense of hope and the sense of possibility, seeing what we can do here in Malden, connection with our wider community, with the state, with the rest of the world, absolutely. But it starts locally, and I think even with the despair in the world, this is a great place to focus one's time and energies on your neighbors and your block and your community, doing what you can to do your part to help the planet and protect the places you care about.
Hi, I'm Jaspreet Mahal, she, hers, and I have this piece here in the exhibit, and it is a mixture of like mixed media art. So it has like, you know, decoupage, where like there are some pieces in the picture and then painted on top of it, and then I've used some wax on top to show the melted glacier effect. The idea behind it was to see how local California fires are connected to the larger global warming theme. So I wanted to bring attention to what's happening here is also linked to like the larger global aspect of global warming.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and everybody appreciated it in such a way that's definitely I'm very much happy.
I feel like art express like our situation right now a lot. Like, it gives us different points of view of other people's perspective on this issue, which is like a main focus. We can connect through a lot with those arts, different arts created by different individuals who also cares about like our environment.
I think art is very important because it not only like speaks to people of different cultures, but it speaks to people who don't understand English, right? So if right now I'm talking, most people won't understand this. But with art, anybody can see what it's trying to interpret and what it's trying to say. Like with all of these artworks here, I think you can immediately tell what it's trying to speak to you about. So I really think it's really nice to see this around here, which you don't see a lot, to be honest. I've never heard of an art exhibit like this, so I think it's really nice to see this around here, especially in Malden. which is a place that really needs this.
So my name is Evan Vine, they them pronouns, and I am working with Clean Water Action and many other youth focused organizations that work on climate justice and climate justice education. I used to be a high school biology teacher, but I noticed that when I was trying to teach about this in class, there was very little time, and that little time, according to standards, was basically boiled down to, okay, kids, let's spend 3 days talking about how screwed you are, and then we move on. We don't talk about actual solutions. And so I'm really, really grateful, both at one of my organizations, Our Climate, with the Youth Action Collaborative, and many other youth organizations in the Massachusetts Youth Climate Coalition, which is this large overarching umbrella to say, what do youth collectively want to do, and how do we practice taking action and building solutions, not just talking about the problem.
I want to extend my deepest thanks to Creative Malden, the coffee shop artists, the city of Malden, and every artist I had the privilege of speaking with. Our conversations were both inspiring and a powerful reminder of what's possible when communities come together to imagine, reflect, and act. What stands out the most is the urgent need for more support for those organizations, groups, and local communities that are building and/or maintaining spaces that bring together art and science as a vehicle to inspire dialogue and action. There are so many untold stories at this intersection, and we look forward to uncovering and sharing more of those local perspectives. Until next time.